Hey guys, Crystal here from Crystal Design. Worked up a little square that I can add a border to for you. Obviously you are going to work your baby blanket to the full size before you add the border, but just so I can show you. Alright, so after your last row you are going to have a corner to work with. So you're going to want to do a chain one, and then we are working into the side of our rows. So we're going to have to go into the side of our stitches. For borders, I generally will work under 2 loops of that stitch. So I'm going to place a single crochet there. And for this next one, it may be tempting to go into this hole, but I prefer to go under the loops of the stitch on the side or the turning chain so that I don't have such a big hole and size difference from edge stitch to edge stitch. So then on this one, I'm going to go through these 2 loops on that side of the stitch, and what I'm aiming to do here is keep these stitches even as far as where they sit. It also reduces the number of holes and gapping on the sides. So I'm able to do 1 single crochet per row. My tension is relatively loose, so you may have to do a little bit more. That's fine. We don't need any particular number of stitches for this border. So if you need to add more stitches, you'll know because it's too tight and it's pulling in on itself. So you can add more stitches in between per row. You just want to put your stitches in the same places every time to keep it nice and neat. That's one tip I have for you on crocheting edges and borders. Okay, so when you get to the next corner, we're going to use this part down here for our corner stitch. You're going to want to put a single crochet, a chain one, and a single crochet back into the same stitch, and keeps us a nice little square border, corner there. When you get to the bottom starting chain row, we're just going to place our single crochets into the bottom there. If you want to just go under 1 or 2 loops, you're welcome to do that. It's just not worth it for me to fight the hook and the chain. The important thing is that you put it consistently across in the same space, and that's whether it's the stitch or the edge. This one, however, we can do because it's our first one there. All right, so we are going to make this our corner. So we have 1 single crochet, chain 1, go back into the same spot to do, there we go, lost my loop. So for that corner, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all in the same spot, keeps it nice and square. All right, so now we're back to our edge stitches again, and we're using the same color yarn that we crocheted in, which also is a nice way to get the border to look nicely because you're adding kind of like a base of foundation. All right, so again, it may be tempting to go into this hole, but I'm going to skip that, and when I go into here, it's going to close up into the side of my stitch under 2 loops. So see there? And here also, same thing, kind of going under that little knot from the turning chain. Again, skipping this part and going into the side of the stitch. If yours is pulling in too much, you may have to go in both places, but I do not. Now if I go into that spot in one row but not in another, that's when my border starts to look off and not quite right. So just try to find what the pattern is where you should be putting your hook and keep following that. All right, so this is going to be our corner stitch up here. Single crochet, chain 1, going back into the same spot, single crochet. We're just doing a single crochet border across and around. Now we're on to like our last row. I'm being sure not to crochet too loosely here, as I can feel that my starting chain is a little more narrow than this edge, which is normal. So we can just tighten up our stitches here, as long as it's not too exaggerated. If you needed to decrease, you could do that, but this is working out just fine. Yeah, this is our first single crochet we made on the edge. So here we're going to do our corner stitch, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, and then slip stitch to that first stitch. There we go. So if you were going to cut the yarn, you would just pull through and cut and then join with the slip.